thing. Get back now!
It's coming apart! Look out!
We have to seal it. What is...
Imagine you're unloading cargo at an airport. Boxes, machinery, crates from around the world. Nothing unusual. Then you hear a noise, a faint thump, then another, and another. Suddenly, the crate begins moving. Someone rushes over. Workers stare. The pounding grows louder. And then, from inside the box, comes a human voice. A voice that should not be there. A voice that has crossed an ocean hidden inside a wooden crate. Inside was a young Welshman named Brian Robson. Dehydrated, injured, barely alive. And his unbelievable journey had started with a desperate idea. An idea so reckless, so dangerous, that it nearly killed him. Tonight, we're telling the astonishing true story of the man who mailed himself across the Atlantic Ocean. And before this story ends, you'll discover why surviving the trip may have been easier than what happened afterward. To understand Brian's decision, you first have to understand his situation. Brian Robson wasn't a criminal mastermind. He wasn't a thrill seeker. He wasn't trying to become famous. He was a young man from Wales. Like many young people in the 1960s, he dreamed of adventure, better opportunities, a bigger life. Those dreams led him halfway around the world to Australia. But reality wasn't what he'd imagined. The work was difficult, money was tight, and homesickness slowly began eating away at him. Thousands of miles separated him from family, friends, everything familiar. Each day, he wanted one thing more than anything else: to go home. There was only one problem. He couldn't afford the ticket. And that's when a desperate thought entered his mind. A thought most people would immediately dismiss. Brian didn't. The idea sounds absurd. Because it was. What if he shipped himself home? Not as a passenger, as cargo. Brian and a few friends began planning. The crate would be large enough to hold a person. Inside would be supplies, water, food, a flashlight, a pillow, and hope. Lots of hope. The crate would travel from Australia to Britain through international cargo routes. The journey would take days, possibly longer. No one knew exactly how long, or what conditions he'd endure, or whether he'd even survive. Think about that. No windows, no fresh air, no certainty, just darkness and faith in a shipping label. Yet somehow, the plan moved forward, and soon Brian found himself climbing into a box that would become his entire world. At first, everything seemed manageable. The crate was tight, uncomfortable, but survivable. Brian rationed food carefully. He counted time. He listened. Every sound mattered. Forklifts, engines, voices. Each noise offered clues about where he might be. But then something happened. Something no one had anticipated. The crate was turned upside down. Suddenly, Brian found himself hanging in an impossible position. His body twisted, blood rushing to his head. The supplies he depended on shifted out of reach. Hours passed, then more hours, then an entire day. Imagine being trapped in a coffin-sized box, unable to stand, unable to stretch, unable to know when it will end. The situation was becoming dangerous, and Brian's ordeal was only beginning. The journey stretched on. Day blurred into night. Night blurred into day. Brian's body began breaking down. Muscles cramped. Dehydration worsened. Exhaustion consumed him. And perhaps worst of all, he had no idea where he was. Had he crossed the ocean? Was he still in Australia? Had the shipment been delayed? Had someone discovered him? Every possibility seemed equally likely. His flashlight battery weakened. Food supplies dwindled. The crate became hotter, then colder, then hot again. At times he drifted in and out of consciousness, and somewhere during those endless hours, Brian began wondering if he'd made a fatal mistake. Because unlike adventure stories, There was no guarantee this one would have a happy ending. Then came the moment that changed everything. The crate arrived in Los Angeles, not Britain, Los Angeles. A shipping error had sent Brian thousands of miles in the wrong direction. After everything he'd endured, he was farther from home than when he'd started. And now, workers were hearing noises. At first they ignored them. Cargo ships, wood setters. These things happened. Then came more banging, more movement.
What is that thing?
And
Get back
finally,
now!
a voice.
It's coming apart!
The
Look
crate
out!
was open. Workers stared in disbelief.
We have to seal it.
Inside sat a pale, exhausted young man who looked as though he'd returned from another world. Because, in a sense, he had. He had survived conditions that could easily have killed him. But his ordeal wasn't over. Not even close. Brian was hospitalized. Doctors treated dehydration and injuries caused by the journey. Authorities investigated. Reporters became fascinated. The story sounded too unbelievable to be true. A man mailed himself across the ocean? It seemed impossible. Yet there he was, alive. But survival came with consequences. Legal complications emerged. Immigration issues followed. Questions about responsibility multiplied. Who was at fault? The shipping company? Brian? His friends? And beneath all the headlines, Brian faced another challenge. Living with the consequences of a decision made out of desperation. Because while the public saw adventure, Brian remembered the fear, the darkness, the uncertainty, the very real possibility that he might never emerge from the crate alive. Years later, Brian would speak openly about the experience. And one detail stands out. The adventure that made him famous wasn't something he remembered with excitement. It was something he remembered with caution. Because history often transforms survival stories into legends. We remember the success. We forget the suffering. We focus on the destination. We ignore the cost. For Brian, the cost had been enormous. Physical pain, psychological strain, and a gamble with his own life. All because he wanted to go home. It's a reminder that some of history's most incredible stories aren't driven by greed or ambition. Sometimes they're driven by loneliness, by desperation, by the simple desire to belong somewhere. Today, Brian Robson's journey remains one of the most unbelievable travel stories ever recorded. Not because it involved technology, or treasure, or fame, but because one ordinary man risked everything on an impossible plan. A plan that should never have worked, yet somehow did. The next time you receive a package, remember this story. Because in 1965, one package crossed an ocean carrying something no one expected, a human being, and a dream of getting home. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Wild Stories After Dark for more unbelievable true stories that sound like fiction but actually happened. Because history is often stranger than anything we could invent.